Welcome to episode 22 of Just Some Points. I'm super excited that we have Kristen with us today. Kristen is the head of our publishing practice and content practice. So I'm really super excited to hear what she has to say. And then Maggie is with us as every week at the moment, and Melissa is on her well-deserved vacation. So Maggie, why don't you get us started off this week?
Yeah, so I chose my topic about SEO because Kristen is going to be talking about publishing, so I thought it would go well with it. So I found an article talking about a study that shows shorter content earns the most backlinks. So I'm going to kind of explain the findings from this article. So a company called Fractally analyzed over 5,000 articles to find that most linked to articles are roughly 695 words in length. Some of the key takeaways from the study were, to start, only articles with at least 25 backlinks were included, and the company avoided studying content from major news sites in order to make the findings more relatable to marketers. So first, the study analyzed the share count of articles to find the average number of shares by vertical and article type. So just a few to mention by vertical are sports had about 5,200 shares, health had about 3,800 shares, and technology had about 3,000 shares.
Wow.
Then the top 5 content types by number for shares were how-to articles with 14,000 shares, list/video articles, which were about 10,000 shares, how-to articles with video was about 8,600, list/infographic was about 7,200, and newsletter was about 5,000 shares. Then they also talked about the top 5 most shared article types by vertical, but for time's sake, I'm just going to talk about what they found for the health industry as it relates to us.
Right.
So number 1 they found was the how-to articles, 2 was newsletter, 3 was list/general article, 4 was a what post, and 5 was a general article. So then they also found content with 1,000 words or less tends to have the highest average share counts. And then the top 5 articles based on number of backlinks achieved, they found were how-to articles, general articles. Number 3 was list/general article, 4 newsletter, and 5 video. And as you can see, these trends kind of show similar to the most shared content trends as well. So kind of overall, the key takeaways from the study is you need to meet the user intent, keep it straightforward, and don't underestimate the impact of how-to content.
Wow, that's really interesting, and will fit to what I will talk about later as well. I will touch a little bit on length of content versus not, and I think what you're saying, if link building is really one of your objectives, and I think it should be, it's actually a major measure. Then the shorter content is very often actually the better choice.
Right.
The one thing that surprised me of your list was the how-to versus how-to with video. That got less shares than the how-to without video, because all we've seen and what we talked about in the last few months is, the importance of video overall.
Right.
That surprised me too.
And it's not too much of a difference, but yeah, when I saw that, I was pretty interested in how it was different. But it's also not to say that long content isn't good. Like, long content is still good. It's just a matter of the audience that you are trying to reach. So understanding who you're trying to reach.
Right. Wow. Really interesting. Now we have to dissect this more in the next few weeks, and I think in combination with what I will talk, I think we have to think about what is our next year strategy for SEO for all of our clients and for ourselves. But I think regardless of what you do related to SEO and content, I think one of the things that Kristen wants to talk about, I think, it's very important that you need people to be able to do that. So Kristen, why don't you talk about what you brought us this week?
Yeah, I really wanted to talk about exactly what a content writer and editor is and why companies need them. All businesses, they want to save money, especially right now with the pandemic going on. And so we see them eliminating services that they're paying for, like marketing services that they consider expenses that aren't really expenses. Marketing is a pipeline for you to maintain and get new business. So if you don't have marketing, you're not going to be making money. It's pretty simple. So you're not really saving money by eliminating expenses, and content and copywriting fall into that category. So if they've been paying for these services, whether through a marketing agency or just freelancing out on their own, or they had somebody in-house and they laid them off, they consider it an expense when really the content and the copywriting are part of a business's brand and culture, both internally and externally. And I think, because I've heard from a lot of other businesses, people tend to think, well, it's not that hard. I can read and write. I can do that myself. So I'll just save money and I'll have so-and-so do it, or we'll rotate the things. But content services they are an entirely separate industry that does not fall into a particular business's area of expertise, which is why that is a problem, because they don't have experience in how to write, how to do it correctly. Most people think of an editor as just somebody who checks for grammar and typos, and that's not the case. An editor is a very broad term that encompasses a very specific set of knowledge, and constant training, constant study, constant keeping up with what's going on in trends. Like right now, definitely conscious content is a huge issue, and all companies need to be paying attention to this. If you think of everything that's going on right now in the United States with the protests, trying to be more inclusive, watching how we say things, how we write things, knowing, like to Maggie's point, when you were writing for content, whether you're writing long form content like a blog, or you're writing short term copywriting, which is really your ads, it's all your very short form, social media, whatever, just knowing best SEO practices to make sure that your site is ranking, not just ranking, but that you're converting your readers into clients for you, knowing where to research, knowing how to fact check, what are the best places to get that, maintaining a consistent voice, which all goes to your brand image. Content writers are typically subject matter experts. For example, for me in the medical community, I have been in medical publishing my entire career, so almost 25 years. So I have an extensive background and am able to take complex medical language, understand that from a medical practices perspective, and turn it into 700 words or less for the lay public to make it useful to their practice and understand.
I think those are some of the things that people we underestimate when they say, oh, we can do it ourselves. And yes, they might be able to structure and write an article, but you know some of the things you touched on is like the fact checking that our editors always do, which very often, on a regular basis, we uncover a lot of issues. Then the same tone. One of the things we've seen, I'm sure you can confirm that, with practices that have a lot of different writers internally, is that they can't maintain the same tone and brand consistency across content. I think that's a huge issue. And then the lack of understanding of other things like SEO, on top of all of that, that itself is kind of a wasted opportunity if you don't reflect that in your content creation, right?
I see that all the time when I go in, look at businesses' websites and see from page to page inconsistent format, inconsistent content, contradictory content, even down to physician biographies where they may have all gone to the same school and 10 of them will all write the school's name a different way. So it's even these teeny tiny little things. And when you're doing it yourself as a business, I feel like you become reading blind because yes, I put the information out there. This is what I want to say, but your user, your reader, they notice they underestimate how intelligent and how observant the readers are because they notice every little error, every little extra period you forgot to take out, every inconsistency, or why does this site not even look the same from page to page? Right. They notice all of those things. And if you don't hook them, especially in your content from the first line, especially with blogs, readers, they read the first line, maybe two if you're lucky. And if you have not engaged them, they're gone. They're not right. going to stay there. And then they're going to scan the rest, which I think goes to Maggie's point with I think that's why how to is probably shared so much is because you can easily, this is how you do it. Here's just a very simple, right. But it's not that simple to hook somebody with that, get them to say, hey, this is super useful and share it.
Kristen, let me ask you a question. So for practices or for businesses with a tight budget, that let's say they can't afford a lot of the content writing, outsource the content writing, but they want to make sure that they do have some consistency and quality overall. Is writing your own content, but engaging an editor at a minimum on top of that, outsource the editing afterward, is that an option?
It's definitely an option. We actually at Points have a couple clients that do exactly that. They prefer to write their own content. They're smaller, so they have a much smaller budget. And then I can take what they've written for their website and I can develop it for them. So turn it into consistent language. And it's a much more affordable option for them. Is it going to be as fantastic as if they were hiring out full service everything? Probably not, but it's still going to be great for the budget that they have. So especially those medium to small firms who are looking to cut the budget but still maintain their brand image right. and quality, it is definitely an very affordable option that can help them achieve that.
Okay, that's fantastic. Well, that was interesting. And I know you're very passionate about content creation and publishing. I am. And it fits, like Maggie talked about content and the impact on link building. Let me move on and talk a little bit about SEO. It's kind of on the same boat more or less, but one of the themes I have been, keep seeing over the years is clients are saying, SEO, what is it about? What are you guys actually doing? And the problem with SEO is that it's constantly changing and the complexity is really huge. And it's very hard sometimes to comprehend as a client, especially if you're not in the details. So I came up with my top, I think 8 list of things you really should focus on for next year, 2021, as it relates to SEO. The list could be longer, but with a restricted time, I wanted to really focus on the things that I think you should focus on. One, we talked about it, I think, a month ago about upcoming Google algorithm change in 2021, which is very much focused on user experience, and that's related to fast loading time, simple navigation, and easy to understand content. Again, content is part of that. So we are not 100% sure yet, all the metrics, some of them I will touch on in a few minutes, but that Google will use, but it's definitely something you have to start focusing on. Look at your website very critically, have other people that are not applying to your website, re-navigate it and analyze it and critique it and come up with an action plan. Second, high quality content, you know, that continues to be very, very important. Now, when we last year, and actually it was this year, we did a content plan for us, for Points Group, and we went back on our blog, and, you know, going back to some of our blogs from the past, I was almost horrified of some of the things we've written. But then I remind myself,
right?
well, this was from, you know, then when we wrote those things, was 3, 4, 5 years ago, things were differently. And to the point that, you know, the main point I want to make with high quality content doesn't mean the content you created will remain to be high quality. It has to be helpful. It has to be relevant and timely. And I think especially the relevant and timely is extremely important. And that's why it's important that you continue to develop content. And, you know, no surprise to both of you, top of the list, how-to guides. I know Maggie brought it up. I have it on my list too. Video tutorials, podcasts, infographics, answers to common questions, useful hacks, and just quick tips. Those are the things that we people want to see. What's really outdated is salesy language. You know, it used to be, you know, for a long, long time, you know, you want to sell, and you had it was its own language. But salesy language is really becoming outdated, and you really have to sell through good content. The content length, now, that's where you really have to think about, you have to find a happy medium, and there are different ways of how you look at it. From a pure SEO perspective, let's say a Google looking at your content, they want to have current relevant content that is, they prefer longer. Let's say 2,000 words attract more readers from that perspective. However, as Maggie was talking about, shorter content engages more and invites more links. And links are also important for your search engine optimization results. So you're best advised to have, to work on both. Have some content is really focusing on the length, and then some other content is really focused more on the link building. Having said that, even though I thought about it, and I didn't read it, but it's really also related to the other trends of navigation, easy navigation and everything. I think what we will see is that we should, while longer content might be good, we will have to start looking at taking long content and structuring differently on a page, so that a long content will be structured and you can have sublinks and you offshoots, or you present it in different ways. So I think there's a whole new opportunity and need to balance on one side, having long good content and short engaging content, and melt this together in something that is really meaningful for users and from a search engine optimization perspective.
Yeah, I think structure is a big part of how you put out your content, making sure it's easy for people to read.
That's right, and then that is a big challenge for content writers. Meaning, while a content writer in the past, you know, might have been asked, you know, write an article for 2,000 words on a website. In the future, there has to be an interaction between the content writer and the web developer or the SEO person. Or the digital team, where say, yes, this 2,000, but let's split it up, let's break it up, and now let's put a button here, a button there. I think there is a lot of demand for changes in approach, and also, you know, how content actually is being developed. And there's not a cookie cutter answer to that. It's just the bottom line on that I want to make is it's becoming more complicated and more sophisticated on how to approach things.
And that's something we've been working on here at Points Group, with that exact structure, that design, where you can, even when something warrants long form content, you can still make it into bites. So smaller bites for people to, this is pulled out. These are the most important facts. These are, just making it more engaging, where they don't necessarily have to read all 2,000 words, but they
That's
can,
right.
they want to, it's there, but they can get the key elements that they're looking for, which is different for each individual. So structuring it, that design does become a complex task, that where content has to work with development, like
That's
you
right.
said,
That's
to
exactly
do
right.
that.
Secure websites, I can't believe that I still have to talk about, but I still see websites that don't have a SSL certificate on
All
their
the
website.
time. All the
So,
time.
you know, this is something going to next year in 2021, you will probably have a hard time being found on online because you will get penalized. I think we will, you know, we will stop seeing these websites because you just will not find them. Voice search optimization, you know, we talked about it a few months ago, how, let's say, Alexa and the search on Alexa on equivalent products has not taken off as much as it was predicted in the last 2 years. However, overall, across all devices and computers and phone, it is still a huge amount. Actually, the majority, actually no, almost half of all online searches is search activated. And what people don't know is that to optimize your content and your website for voice search requires different steps. And so if you do have a SEO company working for you on your website, make sure, if you think it's important, and I think it is important, should be important, that you incorporate voice search optimization next year in your plan. Mobile accessibility. Again, we are preaching this for now years, that your website has to be mobile capable, or you know, in fact, with four out of 5 consumers use mobile devices to perform local searches. 4 out of 5, 80%. That's incredible. So that's why, you know, you really have to look at your website, you know, not from a computer, but from a phone, when you judge how the navigation is, the content and the content structure, engagement. Again, I'm going back to Google will judge your website in the future on how you engage and how people use it and how engaging your content is. If your website, if your content or website is not engaging on the phone, with 80% people of the people using the phone or iPad or other mobile device, then, you know, you're out of luck. Or you might put a lot of effort in all of the things, but it's only serving the desktop, but not the mobile phone.
That actually goes along with when you're doing ads. Google ads, if your website isn't mobile friendly, they will not serve your Google ad, because it won't be helpful to the user, so they won't serve it.
That's right. That's right. So that actually goes as far as, you know, we started actually doing, when we do new website development, that we design the mobile experience first, because it is more important than the desktop experience. And then only second, you go to the desktop. And then last is click-through and dwell time. And it's kind of related to engagement, meaning it will be more measured and will flow into your search engine optimization ranking, how much people click through on your content, not only to your content, but also from your content, and how much time they spend dwell on your website. Yeah, there's a list of at least another 15 or 20 things that are important for search engine optimization. And even that list, I'm sure, would be incomplete. The bottom line of all of that is, you know, what Maggie talked about and Chris talked about and I talked about. You really have to make SEO a significant part of your marketing spend, because that's really where the money is being not only put, but also where you earn your money. and get a return on investment. I hope this was helpful. It was episode 22. Hope to see you next week. Bye.